Spring break. The term evokes images of white sandy beaches or the exploration of exotic locales. At Maranatha Volunteers International, spring break is synonymous with service, and it is one of our busiest seasons. Church and school groups often use this time to travel the world on mission trips. In 2018, more than 500 people volunteered on a Maranatha project somewhere in the world during the month of March. 43 of those volunteers were with Palisades Christian Academy from Spokane, Washington. For nearly 2 decades, the school committed to taking its students on a spring break mission trip every other year. Since the beginning, 7th to 10th grade teacher Ruth Lenz has led the school on each of their endeavors.
Well, when I first came to the school, the board was talking about missions, and they said, Ruth, we'd like you to research what it would take to do a mission trip. And they asked me, would you like to try doing one at least every other year?
Missions and the impact it can have on one's life is something Ruth understands.
When I was handed the task, I was excited because I went a year as a student missionary when I was in college. And my parents were missionaries in Africa, and it was already in my blood. And when they said, try this, I was really excited because I know what missions can do to your life. And I knew that I wanted that for my students.
Although Ruth had experience serving in the mission field, she had never led a group of young people on a mission trip. In researching options, she contacted Maranatha for help in planning their first mission trip to Nicaragua.
And I love working with Maranatha because they have people on the ground that know what they're doing, and things are planned out ahead, and they're a wonderful resource and help when we're here, and it just makes things go so much more smoothly.
Ruth and the students from Palisades Academy represent just one of the more than 25 entities that rely on Maranatha's mission trip planning expertise each year. Our office and field staff work hard to coordinate all aspects of the mission project, ensuring the experience is both effective and fulfilling.
As we're planning before we go, they take the time to set us up on a website where we can get all the information that we need. We can ask them questions at any time. They respond in a very timely manner. They have all the forms online for us. They help us with visas and passports, and that doesn't mean we still have a lot of work to do, but they're there to answer any question we have. They have a presence in the country when we get here. They make sure that things are moving like clockwork for us, and they're not just helping us plan, they're praying with us, and they're making friendships with us and relationships with us, and I wouldn't want to do a mission trip without them.
Each year, Maranatha operates in as many as 15 countries, providing a host of options for our volunteers. Choosing a project location is not a decision Ruth takes lightly. Much prayer and discussion go into deciding where God is calling their group to serve.
What I usually do is read the Maranatha magazine, and I start praying, okay, God, where do you want us to go this time? And I read and I talk to my team leaders, and we narrow it down to a few countries, and then we talk some more, and I read some more, and we keep praying. And this year we just decided that Bolivia was the place for us.
After many years of receiving requests from the Adventist Church in Bolivia, Maranatha began constructing churches in the country in 2018. Work is underway in the central part of the country, in and around the city of Cochabamba. The Adventist Church here is growing rapidly, but many congregations are forced to meet in homes, sheds, or rented community centers. It is difficult for them to invite others to join them for worship. Maranatha assigned the Palisades Christian Academy to build a church for the 20 de Octubre congregation. 20 de Octubre is like many small towns that climb the hills outside Cochabamba. On any given morning, you'll find the narrow roads filled with children heading to school. Residents work hard to eke out a living in this community. 20 de Octubre has all of the components for rural Bolivian life, but was missing one thing: an Adventist church. Benedicto Ventura and his wife Anacleta lived in Cochabamba, but they would travel to this small town to hand out food as a means of outreach in the community. Slowly, as they got to know the people of 20 de Octubre, they began sharing their love for Christ. Soon they began meeting with 3 people. Then after holding evangelism meetings, the group grew to 14. Finally, there were 35 people meeting each week for church services. The Venturas decided to increase their commitment in the community and move to the area. This allowed them to devote more time to outreach and planting a church. Initially, worship services were held under a tree. Then the group was able to rent a small shack. The space was less than ideal as the roof leaked and the children were forced to meet outside, but it was all they had. Anacleta and Benedicto decided it was imperative that the group begin looking for a better, more permanent place to worship. They began cooking food and selling it in Cochabamba's central market to raise money for their new church.
A veces hasta 1 de la mañana nos levantamos, ¿no? Entonces, y si comida tenemos vendida, eso nos ayuda mucho, hermano.
The work was difficult. Knowing they would one day have a church made the effort worthwhile. But one day, while preparing food to sell, Benedicto was involved in an accident with a gas cylinder. It left him with severe burns on much of his body.
Yo ese día me hospitalicé 2 semanas, 2 meses, casi 3 meses. Recién salí, a mí me ha dado una experiencia, ¿no? He leído la Biblia, he leído libros de profecía, el dolor no tanto me importaba, ¿no? El dolor lo que era, entonces un poquito más parece que he conocido a Dios, ¿no? He leído el libro de Job, entonces me animé, ¿no? Entonces, yo ahora estar así, pero cuando salga yo voy a trabajar para Cristo, decía, hasta dónde podré, hasta voy a hacer todo posible.
Sé muchos problemas me han venido, hermanos, pero no sé, no le he dejado, hermano, que siempre, por eso como dije, el enemigo nos ha querido totalmente, nos quería hacer caer, pero no nos hemos dejado, hermano. Siempre también pedía oración y ayuno mucho nos ha servido, hermano. Sí, eso ha sido porque hemos tenido un problema que casi con 2 años y he llorado, hermanos, pero hasta una casa casi perdido, hermano, la casa no, pero tampoco no hemos perdido, hermanos.
With all of the financial and medical problems they faced, it would have been easy for Anacleta and Benedicto to give up on their dream of building a church in 20 de Octubre. Instead, they continued to study God's Word, pray, and work towards their goal.
Isaías 41:10 nos dice, ¿no? Y siempre te ayudaré, dice, ¿no? Siempre sustentaré, dice, con la diestra de mi justicia. Dice, primero dice, yo soy tu Dios, dice, no temas, dice, no desmayes, dice, siempre te ayudaré, dice, ¿no? Y con mi diestra de mi justicia, dice, ¿no? Y también dice, hay ese mismo texto, hermanos, que 41:13 también nos dice, ¿no? Porque yo soy tu Dios, dice, nunca te dejaré, dice, nunca te desampararé, dice, no siempre. Y yo te ayudo, dice, de tu mano derecha, nos dice, hermanos. Es un versículo que tanto me anima, hermanos.
Anacleta and Benedicto claimed those Bible promises and found God to be faithful, even in their time of need. Their small business was flourishing. Each day they would quickly sell out of food, no matter how much they prepared. In a matter of months, they had enough money to purchase a plot of land for a church, but constructing a building was still beyond their means. In 2017, Maranatha announced Bolivia would be a new area of focus for church and school construction, and 20 de Octubre was one of the groups on the list to receive a new church.
Por eso teníamos un sueño, tener una iglesia siempre, hermanos. Pero yo pensé, hermanos, que hacer un templo es bien fácil, así, ¿no? Pero no ha sido así, hermanos, ¿no? Entonces, el hermano me dice, el hermano pastor nos dice, los hermanos de Maranatha van a llegar este año, nos dice. Nosotros nos hemos alegrado, hermanos. Estamos muy alegres.
When we come back, students at the Palisades Christian Academy are an answer to prayer in Bolivia.
These women spend 560 minutes a day fetching water. Water is life. But your life shouldn't revolve around water. We're raising money for water wells. Make a donation. Give women the gift of time, health, family. Sponsor a well. Give water, give life.
For the last 18 years, spring break mission trips have been a regular part of life for students at Palisades Christian Academy. In 2018, the group decided to once again serve with Maranatha, this time in central Bolivia. A few months before the trip, group leader Ruth Lenz traveled to Bolivia for a site visit. Maranatha recommends that leaders do a pre-trip site visit to help make arrangements and plan all aspects of their mission trip. It was during this trip that Ruth first met Benedicto, Anacleta, and the other members of the 20 de Octubre congregation.
And when we got off the plane in Bolivia, the first place we went was to meet the church people. And as soon as I heard their story, I just knew in my heart this was where we should be. And I was so touched by their faithfulness and their sacrifice and all the things they had done ahead of time. And I figured out that God has a mighty work on that mountain. The people are just dear, and they're so mission-minded, and they're Jesus' hands and feet all the time. And I had no doubt after I met them that we had made the right choice.
Ruth returned home excited about the opportunity to serve the 20 de Octubre community. She even began raising more money to help provide the children with Sabbath school classrooms. Maranatha staff immediately began preparing the church site for the volunteers' arrival. A few months later, volunteers with Palisades Christian Academy arrived in Bolivia, ready to build the 20 de Octubre church and serve the community. It didn't take long for the students to recognize the congregation's need for a new church.
They're growing out of it. There's too many people. It's just not a very nice place to meet, you know. It's like animals in there.
They live in these houses that are made of red brick, and they make such a little income, and land costs so much that they build a little and then they have to make more money and build a little more, and that normally takes a lifetime, and you won't see the completion of your home. And so as you drive around, you see houses that have poles sticking out of them, not finished. A lot of them don't have roofs, and there's brick lying around waiting for that next part of life. It's crazy for us to think that we can come in here and build a church. And I just think about for them, what must it be like for them to see something rise so quickly, and for Benedicto and his wife to see this. This is their lifetime of work. They've tried so hard for their group of people to see this happen. It's overwhelming, because before this, there just didn't seem like there was going to be any hope. And now they have this light on the mountain, and other people can come, and it can be a place of gathering to grow the community.
It feels amazing to know that we can provide that for them, just to know that they're going to have something now that they didn't have before. They were using what they could before, but now that they have something that they can use and that will work, I think that's just an incredible thing.
Building a church with a group of students, most of whom lack construction experience, is a daunting challenge. The challenge, however, creates lifelong lessons and bonds as the adults guide the young volunteers, equipping them with the skills necessary to complete the walls of the new church.
I think directing the kids back to what we're doing frequently was a part of helping them gain a sense that they were a part of something bigger than themselves. If you were working on trails somewhere or doing different types of volunteer opportunities, it would be meaningful. But when we were able to direct the kids back to the fact that we're leaving a structure for people to be able to worship that don't currently have a place of worship, I think the kids, regardless of age, had a real sense of identity with how meaningful that was for them. So the kids really took that seriously. As goofy as they could be and as hard as they were to herd like cats at times, they knew what we were doing and they appreciated the fact that when we left, these people, this congregation would have a church to enjoy and worship.
It's been rewarding to see how, well, the young people that were on the crew could come into the project not really knowing anything about or not having ever worked on construction before. And seeing their skills develop and seeing them become more confident in, that they could actually perform some tasks and be part of a project, and then to meet some of the local people that we're building a church for was really rewarding for me. It's challenging to try to keep them busy because they get easily distracted when they're 12, 13, 14, up to 16 or 17. But sometimes I felt like we were herding cats. But it was good, I think, overall, thinking back on the project. It's helped me grow, helped me become more flexible, and to maybe have a little more patience than I did before.
Maranatha's support for groups goes beyond just planning and on-the-ground logistics. Our construction teams work in advance to prepare the building site and materials to ensure everything is ready to go when the group arrives. And during the project, they work alongside the volunteers to help them accomplish their goals.
Well, coming to this country and knowing nothing about how building projects are accomplished and ran here, local codes, local requirements, it's a lot different. And to have local support, and also it was quite a blessing to have local support that actually knows some English to help us be able to communicate back and forth. It means a lot. I don't think there's any way we could have done this kind of project without the local support of Maranatha.
Construction wasn't the only way volunteers impacted the local community.
We have been teaching English to the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth graders, and tomorrow we'll be teaching it to the sixth graders. And so we've been working with elementary school kids and teaching them English, and we've also been doing a vacation Bible school in the afternoon. And we have had games for them and crafts and stories and snacks and songs that we've been singing with them, and they seem like they've been really enjoying it.
Sharing God's love can be as simple as fun and games with children.
I just love seeing the kids be able to learn about God and to sing with them. I sing with them, and just hearing their voices sing, and we learn the songs in Spanish. It's so amazing, and they give you hugs, and you just feel this love and warmth, and you see God in a new way that you've never experienced before.
Volunteers also conducted medical clinics, and a small mobile dental clinic traveled to several areas to provide much-needed care. Tom Cho is a dentist and father of Palisade student Josh. He was invited to accompany his son on the mission trip to Bolivia. Together, they traveled to the surrounding towns, providing dental service to people who lack access to routine care. They found their work was much more than just cleaning and extracting teeth.
People here are struggling just to survive. And spiritually, I feel obligated, coming from a country such as the United States, to give back. So, it just kind of made me think about what Christ had to do, when he came to the earth. Every time he interacted with people, he tried to heal. And I'm not saying I'm Christ, but to a certain extent, I'm being the Christ hand, and trying to bring some healing. And hopefully, with this impression that we make to them, we invited every single one of them to come to church, and we gave out like glow tracts, hoping that it'll open doors. So hopefully, you know, we'll see in the kingdom whether, you know, what we did worked.
When we come back, see the impact a 2-week service project can have on a community and the volunteers.
If you've always dreamed of traveling to the continent of Africa, Maranatha has 2 upcoming projects that could use your help. Looking to serve in a unique location? Well, consider traveling to the island of Sao Tome, located off the western coast of Africa. Maranatha recently completed a 1-day school campus there, but many Adventist congregations on the island are meeting in people's homes or in makeshift buildings. From July 5 to 14, you can help construct churches throughout the island and conduct outreach in the local communities. Or travel to Eastern Africa and help in Kenya from July 25 to August 8 at the Kiutini Adventist School. Currently, students live in miserable conditions, so we'll be constructing new block dormitories, bathrooms, and other campus buildings to provide a better environment. We'll also be coordinating outreach activities in the community. To sign up for either of these projects or for more information on all our volunteer opportunities, visit our website at maranatha.org.
This is the country of Sao Tome and Principe. This collection of tiny islands is home to breathtaking coastlines, miles of jungle, a fascinating history, and colorful life all around. It is also a place where the Seventh-day Adventist Church has been growing. But the resources for the church have not. Make a donation to sponsor a church in Sao Tome and Principe, or volunteer for an upcoming Maranatha project and help to build churches and schools and coordinate outreach programs. Help change a country, build a community, transform a life.
Months of preparation, tens of thousands of dollars raised, thousands of miles traveled, long hours of hard work, and years of prayer. The capstone is the first worship service in the new church.
Yo agradezco mucho a los hermanos que han venido tan lejos a pedir su tiempo. Pero él tiene la fe, ¿no? Yo sé que ellos tienen fe, por eso ellos han venido a poner esa obra. No es solamente este 20 de octubre, sino en varios lugares. ¿Cuánto de plata hayan gastado?
It's phenomenal to worship with them. Traditionally, we have a communion service with them, and we pair up each person of our team with one of their church members to wash feet together. And even though we can't speak the same language, we know each other as friends, and it's very moving, very moving. We wash each other's feet, and the water's dirty, just like I'm sure it was for Jesus and his disciples, and it bonds us forever.
The experience of serving together bonded the volunteers as well.
We're more like a family now. Like I know I have people that I can lean on, and I know that people will lean on me when they need it. And I think that's something really amazing that we have.
The 20 de Octubre congregation will be forever grateful for the construction of their new church. There is an impact for the volunteers too, extending far beyond the 2-week mission trip.
Well, you know, I've had some people, not a lot, but I've had some people come up to me and say, you should just take all the money for the plane tickets and send it down there, and they could build 3 churches for what you're doing. And yes, granted, we come to help them, but it's just as much more that I want my students to be helped, because our society in America is so self-centered, and these teenagers come back from this experience changed forever.
Well, coming to the mission trip I was kind of on and off, not really strong in my belief with God, and I've definitely become stronger and more wanting to be with God.
The opportunity that we have here is to plant seeds for kids that are 13 and 14 and 15 years old, to spend the rest of their life committed to this notion that we are called to do something outside of ourselves for other people. So it's actually a very small investment in planting seeds in the lives of people that will spend their careers and their lives and their finances and resources towards helping other people. So in that sense, it's really a blessing for the people that come on this trip. It's certainly a blessing to leave a building, and it'll be a blessing for this congregation, but this is an opportunity for kids to taste and see what doing something for other people is like, and no doubt will one day be contributors to service in all sorts of ways.
I've seen God work through prayer more than ever on this trip, and it has been absolutely incredible. I've definitely grown in my faith. I've grown closer. I knew before that I could rely on God for anything, but I have seen it happen on this trip, seen that it can, if you rely on God, He will provide. I've seen that happen in so many times on this trip.
These volunteers learned that sometimes stepping outside your comfort zone is all it takes to experience life and God in a different light.
Absolutely go. I mean, it's a lot of money, but oh, your memories are worth way more.